Hello friends, neighbors, John your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook, and where's the whiskey? Actually, there's going to be a lot of bottles in this episode. This will be my take on Aqvavitae's recycled reviews. It is a journey's end. I have 20 whiskeys I want to talk to you about. I'm going to totally not stick to that number. There will be more, but I'm going to try to do about 20 whiskeys. Just final thoughts. Would I buy it again? Would I not? A little bit of tasting notes, but if you're interested in tasting notes, I've talked about every one of these, and I would say go find that review for an actual tasting. This is just like, hey, would I buy it again or not now that the bottle has finished its journey? 3, 4. All right, I've got 20 or so whiskeys down here, and we're going to pull them up one at a time. This year, I've had a lot more Scotch than anything else, or at least finished off more Scotch than anything else, so we'll start there. I'm going to start with, a classic. This Kirkland 18-year-old, sherried Speyside. I think the Kirkland series is great. I haven't had the current 15. I did like this 18. It was affordable, which made it like, you know what, let's maybe buy that again. But I know you can't, and it just pales compared to the 23 or 24-year-old that I paid the same price for. So if I saw this on the shelf for $100, I'd buy it again. If it was more than that, I don't know if I would. Let's stick with 18 for a minute and talk about this 18-year-old Aqvavitae. It's a lowland Scotch. It's 43%. It's 18 years of age. Would I buy this bottle again? And the truth is, I really wouldn't. This was very affordable for me. I paid $89 for an 18-year-old Scotch. That's Canadian bucks. That's a great price, but it just didn't have good flavors. It almost paled to even some of their other releases. I just didn't like this 18. So actually, those are the only 18s I've got. And both of them for the prices right now, I probably wouldn't buy, I certainly wouldn't buy Aqvavitae again. Let's go over to Glen Grant. I like Glen Grant. Actually, I find them, kind of fruity, kind of like a nice bit of toffee in with some orchard fruit and some graham cracker. This Glen Grant 15 was the batch one of their, it's not barrel proof, batch strength whiskey. And it kind of got love-hate online. For me, where I was, just those flavors that I mentioned just came out strong. Slightly bitter, maybe, or mechanical, but I totally like this. And for the price I paid for this one, I would buy Glen Grant 15 again. This is where I'm going to start cheating. So here I'm going to pull up and call it like one. So this is Glenallachie. Totally different scotches. The 8-year-old, very affordable in my market, sits at Costco all the time. And then a 12-year, but the Ruby Port. And the reason why I'm kind of cheating is saying, I've seen online that lots of reviewers really like this as an affordable, well-cast integrity malt. And it is all of that. Just didn't grab my heart. I don't know what it was. It has layers of flavor, just didn't pull me in. Contrast that to this 12-year-old Ruby Port. I love this bottle. I love this release. I love the chocolate notes. I like the fruit notes. This to me stood out, and I would hunt this down. I know it's a little pricier. I'd buy this again. I personally am not buying this again. It didn't hit enough for me for, even though affordable, it's still costly. Staying with Scotch, let's do another big cheat. So here's 3 for the price of 1. It's Benromach, and these two, the 10 and the 15, were gifted to me, so I had a few inches of them, and I loved the 10-year-old. I have to say, this 10-year-old kicks. If I could buy this 10-year-old, a 100 proof, I would. Now, lots of people tell me I can get very similar with the Benromach cast strength, which I haven't had. I can't seem to find it around me. I don't know why, because I would buy it if it's anything like this 10. The 15 was really good, like just a tasty dram. And then coming over the 10, now I will say this Benromach 10 is, I think, a great, in fact, Like this is where, this is integrity, 46. This is only 43, and it is natural color, I believe. Yeah, but I can't remember if they chill filter. I can't remember. But I preferred the flavor profile of this Benromach 10. It's very affordable. I know it's only 43%, but I'm buying that again. If I could buy this, I would pay too much money for that, so I'm buying that again. For the price of the Benromach 15, I probably wouldn't buy it again. In this case, it was given to me, but I'm just saying I wouldn't put out my cash for that. Oh, and another one I'm going to cheat on, you can see lots of cheating going on, are these Lochlea bottles. I've actually shared them out quite a bit. I know Lochlea is new and young, and I think it gets critiqued. In fact, there was a fellow online who just recently talked about these, well, not these bottles, but Lochlea, and really bet him up. Like I said, it was one of his whiskey regrets. And that's fair. That's why you should always watch a variety of whiskey people online, because we all have slightly different palates. The R barley from Lochlea, I didn't enjoy that much, and I would not buy it again. Got a tremendous sale on it. I wouldn't buy it again. This is the Harvest, which adds, again, some port. Maybe it's a port mood for me, because I like that Glenallachie Ruby port. It's hard to say. But this Lochlea Harvest with some port in it and some other casking, I can't remember, sherry, bourbon, that kind of thing. I resonated with this. Young, still distill it forward, but I thought balanced with some of those castings. So I'd buy this again. I wouldn't buy this one again, even though it was on a tremendous sale, which is hard for me because I'm a bit of a value person. Let's go into a couple other scotches. Okay, here's a couple of bangers. I'll cheat on these ones too. Kilcherran. You know, Kilcherran, of course, from the Glengyle Distillery, has a lot of cred and a lot of people hunting for them and a lot of buzz and all of those things, and well-deserved. They make excellent Scotch. I only had a sample of the 16, and for me, I've done it blind, and I don't know, this one is okay for me. A little more orange than the 12, a little more depth, I would say, than the 12. But again, online, almost universally, people didn't resonate with the 16. Now I've looked at the price on the 16. I know what I paid for this 12, what I can still pay for this 12. And absolutely, I'll buy the 12 again. I won't put the cash out for the 16, even though for me, I did like it more than the 12, but not for the price that they are asking for this. So the 16 is not on my must buy or buy it again list, but the 12, if you haven't had it, I just say, you know, it's a little funky. I've poured it for some people that legitimately didn't like it. But I think it's just, it has a lot of flavor going on. It's never been one-dimensional, got good finish on it, and it's got just a little bit of that Campbelltown funk going on, which is awesome. Scotch, oh, it's my last one. I thought I had nothing but Scotch down there. I think I've been cheating so much. So this Laphroaig Cardaeus, this is the one that was PX finished. And, you know, if you like Laphroaig, you like the brininess of their peat, slight medicinal, and the sweetness of their malt, and then cut it with this wonderful PX finish. You know, this Pedro Jimenez Cardaeus is a must-buy if you like Laphroaig. And you may not like it, I'm sorry, you never know when I'm recommending like that, but I would buy this again. I think this is a fantastic peated, sherried dram. Just delicious. I guess that's it for Scotch. I'll do a quick international in here. I've got Paul John. This is Christmas 2021. I've heard from yourselves that the current Christmas whiskeys don't present as flavorful or as spicy as this back in 2021. I really like this. I did. If I saw this 2021, I know it's not age stamp, but it was all of that Christmas, like having a label like Christmas, it better taste like Christmas, and this one did. Somewhere between mull wine and Christmas cake and all of those spices kicking around. I thought, you know what, I would buy this. Now it's the 2021 release, so I've heard the newer ones aren't as good, but I'd buy that Paul John again. Let's run over to rye. I've got quite a few ryes down here. So we're going to go with, this is Sagamore Spirit Rye, just their entrance release, I think, which is a little bit lower in proof or ABV than you'd expect from an American rye. It's, it's got good bling going on here, lots of points or whatever. And it's a sharp looking bottle. And I've had samples of some of their other stuff that's really quite good. Was this a good rye? It was an okay rye. It was. I didn't mind it. It was tasty. It wasn't too grassy. It had a nice balance, but 41.5%, and it was priced way too high in my market. Like so high that I know there's huge Sagamore fans out there, and you should be. I've had some other spirits. They can put out phenomenal stuff, but this kind of their entrance rye, it didn't hit for me. And at that price, I'm not buying it again. So now that we're in rye, I've got a couple of pretty normal, everyday, on-the-shelf ryes. This one is Knob Creek, just the regular Knob Creek rye. This one's a little bit of a barely legal rye, so it's got a lot of sweetness from corn. It's got a little bit of nut oil in there that I can catch. This is an easy sipping rye while still being a rye. If you're not a rye fan, or if you hit it with water, you're still going to get some of those grassy notes. That kind of thing. So I bet I will buy another one again, probably just to compare it. I think, what was there? There was one that I liked that was very similar to this one. I can't remember right now. But this won't make it on the shelf probably in a year. But, a year and a half out, somewhere out, I'll probably come back to it. Kind of in a similar way, this year I picked up this Elijah Craig, but they're rye, just their small batch rye. There's no age stamp or uniqueness on here. And I definitely put these two head to head because in my market, they can sit around that 43 Canadian, somewhere in there. I hate saying prices because my market, even though it's in Canada, it's wildly different out in Ontario or even BC. But I felt like these were direct competitors, 50% of 47%. They've got a big age behind, big brands behind them. This one is not one that says 9-year, any kind of age stamp. So same with this, they're both non-age stamps. And this one had less character for me than this one. So while this is, I'll buy it again, but in the far future, this one's not on my list. I'm not buying that one again. Oddly, like I said, because I looked, it's been about 8 months since I've shared some empties with you. This is the only bourbon that I've seemed to have emptied. And I guess I take smaller. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. Maybe I've shared more scotches. That's why they're emptied. Actually, that's true. I share more scotches than anything else. Anyways, back on point. This Stellum bourbon from the Barrel Bourbon Group is really tasty. I got it on offer, which is good. And what's the percentage on it? 50 something, 57. So it's big and bold. It didn't hit me as great as their rye. It's funny. I prefer this to this. So I've kept this around because I'm nursing it. I don't know how you guys are with your whiskey, but that's how I am. Better whiskeys tend to stay on the shelf longer, and whiskeys that are okay tend to fall away. Not a bad bourbon. I'm sure lots of people out there love it, and I probably gave it a pretty good rating, just like critically. But for the price, I'm not buying this bourbon again. I'll probably go with just some classics for $20 less, like Wild Turkey. Okay, let's transition to Canada with a Canadian rye. This is Rifle Rye out of Alberta Distillers, and this pleases many people. This rye, lots of people enjoy. They're like, oh, I didn't think I liked rye, but I like this. And I suggest part of that is because it's really another one of those great cocktails. It has some bourbon in here, and it has, does this one also have sherry? I think it does. Shoot, I can't, that's what I feel in my mind. So, these tasting notes, it actually does. I would say it's got toffee in it. It's got some chocolate notes, some caramels. Like this is a tasty whiskey. And if I was just looking for whiskey, I might buy this. But I struggle with the whole mixing of all the stuff. So I'm not buying this again, although it is a tasty whiskey. But I'm not buying it again. Then I've got a bunch of JP Weiser products. We'll do this one, the 21-year-old finished in Oloroso. I liked this one. Yeah, let's cheat a bit and say, but my problem is, ooh, this is getting low. The 22PX, I think I liked more. Now it's not empty, but maybe I won't do it on an empty review. This one I better share out or finish because it's going to get some old bottle effect pretty quick. But this one was good. It was tasty. It was nice. I like the buttery Pike Creek with the Oloroso note, but I'm not going to chase that one down again. Although, and I don't think I can. Did I pull this out and put it away? Yeah, this is the 22-year-old cask strength port. Now this one I loved. This was awesome. I loved that it was cask strength. I love the port on it. Maybe I'm running into port this year. I don't know what. But this one, I would say, if I could find it, I would buy it again. I just don't think it's on the shelf anywhere. This one, the 21 or the 22, maybe is the one I've been seeing around. I've been seeing just the band still on sale in a few places, so maybe you can get this, but I'm not buying this again. I would buy this one again. And I'll just stay with JP really quickly. This is out of Manitoba. It's their, I hope it says Wheatfield Gold on it. I just think of wheat, and I think of gold, and I think of Manitoba, sorry. I know it's unique to that release. This was a fine Canadian whiskey and lots of subtle creaminess. Yeah, it's for the Manitoba 150-year celebration. Lots of creaminess, lots of buttery, but I wouldn't buy it again, actually. I know it's still on the shelf there, and I wouldn't buy this again. I would buy the 22 cask if it's around. I'm sure it's not. And I'm not buying this 21 Oloroso again. I guess I'm going to round it out with some Irish. I think I left it to the end because lots of people drop off on the way, and I've just been talking Irish over the last few weeks. So we'll go pretty quickly through this. This is Lambay. It's a finished Irish blend. They don't make their own whiskey. They do cut it with water from the island, which is unique. This one's finished in cognac cask. This ends up being very generic, and I'm not buying it again. Then we'll go to a 2 stacks. This is the original Dram in a Can blend. I think the blender's cut, and I'll say it again. This one turns heads when you're pouring it to a group saying, hey, here's some Irish whiskey. And it's because there's a variety of casks and malts, and there's a tiny bit of peat, just enough to ground it in some earthy notes and whatnot. And I really like this one. And this one being the blender's cut, I think was 65%. So, I will buy the blender's cut again, probably in a can maybe, because that's fun. But I'll also buy other things from 2 stacks. I think they're putting out some really good stuff. Last one, I shouldn't have ended it like this, but I did. Last one's Tyrconnell single malt. Nothing wrong with this Tyrconnell single malt. It's light, it's fruity, it's a classic single malt, but it is very, very forgettable. And so for me, I'm not buying this Tyrconnell again. If I could only have one bottle, and you know what, I'm doing this spontaneously to myself, looking at the empties down here. What bottle of this round? Well, I'm quite sure, I don't know where to put that. It would be this one, but if you're not a peat head, then I would chase down this 10-year-old. I don't know what it is. I absolutely, this was a banger. Now that I'm looking. Okay, if you're a sherry head, get that one. If you're a peat head, get that one. If you just like to be kicked around with flavor, check out this Benromach 10. If you can find it, I don't think you can. This is that, the Imperial 100 proof one. I think it's long gone, but I heard their 10-year-old cask strength's pretty good. Pete, get the Cardaeus. Look at this Ruby Port, Glenallachie. It was a banger. Anyways, I've talked way too long. I hope I can trim that down to 20 minutes. If I'm not, I apologize. I hope it was not a waste of your time. It's nice to just sort of wrap up the lingering last thoughts for one person's opinion anyways. Hope you found it fun. Any of these pop for you? Let me know in the comments. Take care.